and a good afternoon, a good evening to everyone. Just waiting for Dave to join us, and we will be underway. It's another Wednesday. That's what I love. That first hand is up before the man of the hour arrives.
Here we go.
Who do we got? How are you, Dave?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
Looking forward to another great week of tea and poetry. Second one of 2021.
Absolutely. First and foremost, can you hear us clearly?
We really clear.
Fantastic.
Super clear. Sound is
fantastic. That is exactly what we want to hear. So that is great news. Okay. So we are going to, I think we're all set. We've come prepared. Everyone's here. People are coming in.
I have a small request.
Go ahead.
I know we normally start by doing kind of, you know, the welcome and rules, everything. I've got someone, there's a couple of people I've got in the call tonight that want to speak.
Okay.
But I've got someone I want to get on straight away because she can only stay on for a few minutes.
Okay.
Now, for those of you that have been a part of Tea and Poetry for a while now, you may remember us talking about a young boy here in the UK called Sam Baker.
Yes.
For those that don't know, Sam has got RP, and a couple of years ago now, he was really struggling with making the transition to high school and losing his sight and everything else. And he actually lost the ability of his to use his limbs through kind of trauma. It took a while to kind of understand what was going on with him, and eventually he went into a hospital here in London, or not here in London, but in London in the UK, and he's been getting help there. I'd like to bring Karen Baker in. She can only stay for a few minutes, but I know Karen's in there. If we can bring Karen in, we've got a little bit of an update for you.
Okay. I will bring Karen on right now. Karen, stand by. Karen,
hello.
Can you hear us? Hey, how are you?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Hey, Karen.
Happy New Year to you.
Hey.
And to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Karen, you just heard me kind of give a little brief kind of explanation of what had been going on with Sam. We did kind of say when we originally had you on, if there was any news, we'd kind of get you to come on and kind of talk about it. And I know you've not got long, so do you want to kind of give us a little bit of an update as to, you know, what's been happening, how things are?
Yeah, so, I mean, you summarised it pretty well, Dave. He essentially had a breakdown. He lost the use of his legs. He was vomiting continuously to the point where he was tube fed. It was horrendous. And at the time, we didn't know it was psychological. Anyway, long story short, he ended up at a psychiatric unit at Great Ormond Street in London. He stayed there for 4 months and he was discharged on Monday. He no longer vomits, he can walk perfectly fine, and he has started to transition back into school. And we've got our boy back.
Happy New Year.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
oh, wow. The prayers have been answered. That is incredible news.
You guys have been in our thoughts all the time, and you know, it's just so nice to have a bit of good news for a change. Well,
absolutely.
Let's keep it real here. So, you know, with everything that's going on in the world, it's nice to have a good news story, and you know, we know you guys have really been through it. You know, trying to fight to get him the help that he needed, and you persevered and you stuck in, and you know, credit to you and Darren's parents. You know, just amazing.
Thank you.
It's great to hear that, and we appreciate sharing good news, and we wish, you know, continued good health.
Yeah, and I'd like to say, Karen, totally, anytime in the future, if Sam would, you know, feel well enough to come on and say hi on the call at any point, we would love to have him on. Love to have him.
Absolutely.
He might. He's a bit shy, but he might one day.
Yeah.
He has nothing to be afraid of here. He's in good company.
He's got some friends.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Tell him he's famous in America.
I will. Thrilled.
Thanks again, Karen.
All right,
That's
be well,
great.
Karen. Thank you so much.
No, it's a pleasure. Thank you
Stay
very
strong,
much.
and we'll talk to you. Send our best.
I'll be back. Don't worry. Thank you
Very
very
good.
much.
Thank
Thanks, Karen.
you. Be
Bye.
well.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So that's great news. That is really
What a way
good
to start
news.
the call. The call off, Dave.
Absolutely.
Really good news. I think we all could do with that.
Absolutely.
I know we've got a lot we want to kind of pack into this hour. As always, we've got a couple of guests in the waiting. We've got some new poetry, but do you want to kind of
Let's go. Officially welcome everyone to TM Poetry 2021. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm here together with my co-host Dave Steele and Mr. B. Fox. And just excited to be here. So there are 3 ways that we can communicate with you as far as how we can bring you into the conversation. 1, if you raise your hand, like our good friend Travis always does from the start. Thank you, Travis.
My man.
You can raise your hand, or you can send us a note through the Q&A like Sharon just did, and I will have Dave answer that question. Or you can send us a message through the chat. So again, 3 ways to get our attention. If you raise your hand, I'm going to assume that you really want to come in and join the conversation. We encourage you to leave your video on. If you're uncomfortable with that, you just do the audio. Whatever makes you feel comfortable, but this is a great environment and just really happy to be here. It's great to see some familiar faces and a lot of new faces tonight. So it's great to see that. And TM Poetry is spreading around the world. So
yeah, we've been getting some love on Twitter today from a few different charities here in the UK sharing the post. So yeah, lots of new people coming to the platform, and as Barry said, join the conversation, get involved.
That's what we're here for. Join the conversation. We want you to get involved and sit back, relax, and enjoy. That's what this is all about. So I'm going to start off. I have a question here. She's coming from Sharon over here in the US. Over here further in the Baltimore area. She is asking how your dear Amy is doing today.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been a bit of as you guys know, but I'll kind of fill everyone else in. Been a bit of a hectic start to 2021 here in the Steele Thompson household. My wife Amy has been in hospital twice in the last week and a bit. She'd been suffering with awful kind of back pain for months now, but it was progressively getting worse to the point where, during Christmas, she was really, really struggling. New Year's Eve, she spoke to a doctor, and the doctor said, can you go to A&E, as soon as possible. She didn't want to go New Year's Eve because, she wanted to spend it with us. So she left it till the 2nd. And then when she went in the 2nd, she got admitted. Lots of scans later, turns out she has a herniated disc on the base of her kind of spine, but the pain has gotten, the pain got so bad that the nerve it's pushing down, it's still pushing down on, was kind of blocking it was so much pain, it was blocking the signal from her brain to a kind of right side of her body. So she's lost all sensation in her right leg. Her foot kind of turned in, and she's been dragging her foot. Luckily, they don't have to operate just yet. They may have to in the future, but it's kind of like pain meds and lots of physio. So she got home yesterday after a 2nd stay in hospital, and we're glad to have her back. So thank you, Sharon, for asking that. We're glad to have her back. It's been an anxious few days.
Excellent. I'm very happy to hear that update. And
welcome home, Amy.
Welcome
home. Yeah, she's sat in the bedroom with my guide dog Christopher, cuddled up on the bed next to her. He's not normally allowed on the bed, but he's guide dogs and dogs in general, they pick up on kind of emotions,
right?
And feelings. Really, yeah, and you could tell, when as soon as Amy was back, he knew, he was basically fussing around her a lot, and always looking at her, and there's something wrong. So he's been kind of stressed. So I think she's having a cuddle on the bed with him right now while she listens to TM Poetry from the other side of the house.
Awesome. I heard a rumor there's some new poetry this evening.
Lots of new poetry. I kind of took a little break over Christmas and the New Year, as you know. Things are starting to pick up again. We've got a lot of projects between all of us that we're kind of working on together and apart, and lots of different things happening which are going to be coming to fruition this year, touch wood. But the poetry has really started flowing out of me recently, and you'll notice some of the topics I'm talking about here are not just really low vision related, but something I really wanted to touch on tonight, which is kind of how I've been feeling. I had a conversation with B earlier this evening, talking about how I've been really struggling recently. I'm never one to shy away from talking about emotions and feelings. My anxiety has been through the roof. I still feel strong and I'm still happy and I'm still going about my business as I normally would, but due to the isolation of not going out, because we're in complete lockdown here in the UK and it's about to get worse, I've been, had moments where I've maybe not been doing anything. I've sat for a minute where I felt like I've been drowning. And I know a lot of people out there across the world, not just people from our community, but just, everyone is kind of struggling with these kind of feelings. So I really want to touch on that tonight, and a lot of the poetry kind of has touches of that. We've got two people in the wings, and I want them on standby. Ben, you've got someone that we want to bring in and talk to about something that's going to be really exciting that's happening later on this week. And I've got a guest lined up as well from the UK. So we've got both sides. That I want to kind of bring in and introduce to you guys as well. It's a little surprise. So before I do that, I want to read a piece of poetry, if that's okay.
Go for it. That is what we want to hear.
Take notes.
I have my note cards here.
Okay.
My pen is here.
I'm sure you're going to pick up on a lot of this. Doreen, who's not here this week, because
she had a very, very poor excuse. I'm not going to say why.
Beautified. Doreen, when I released this one on my page earlier the week, she said she loved absolutely every line of this. So hopefully you guys will too. Here we go. If you can't see the way to be with all that's going on, the world seems out of focus and the hope inside you gone. The thought of stepping out your door just fills your heart with dread. And every day life slips away as you'd rather stay in bed. Please know you're not alone in this. We all feel down sometimes. There's strength to share our weaknesses, a friend within these rhymes. For I still struggle sometimes, but I won't let it stop me achieving all the dreams that I don't need my sight to see. For nothing lasts forever, and these dark days soon will pass. We all need help in life sometimes. If you need me, just ask. The blindness in our eyes can't take the vision in our minds. And with each swipe of my long cane, anxiety declines. The first step can be the hardest, but the second one we take will lead us to the place we see the difference we can make.
Got a lot of comments here. I'm going to start off with the first step is the hardest.
Yeah.
And I think it's just, Dave, you mentioned we're going to go above sight loss here, but the first step is always the hardest in anything and everything that we do, whether if it's composing a new email, or if it's you putting together new poetry, or if it's us getting this sound system right here, whatever it is, getting this off the ground, whatever you are doing, the first step is always going to be the hardest. And one of the things that I always tell my kids, specifically, when they're studying in class, and, there's an example that I may have shared here in the past where, we feel that tap on our shoulder. Hey, Ben, it's okay. You can stop here. You don't need to go forward. Our brain tells us, nah, it's trying to comfort us. It wants to make us feel good. But we need to push forward and get our foot forward and take that first step, because once we do, we put that effort, it's going to make a world of a difference. So for me, that first step is the hardest. You got to avoid that tap on that shoulder. And we all get that tap all the time, day in, day out, whether getting out of bed in the morning, or again, whether it's getting ready for this webinar, whatever you are doing, whatever the situation may be, just put that foot forward and you're going to be successful. So it's all has to do with positive mindset as well.
Absolutely. Those of us that are parents out there, we these are the lessons that we teach our kids from like the earliest of ages. You know, we tell them not to be afraid to do new things. We tell them that once we take that first step, it's not as scary as it first seems.
No,
And
it's not.
That's sometimes the lessons that we need, the things that we teach our children, we need to remind ourselves of. It's often the way that we think something's going to be really scary, but then when we approach it, it's not as scary. And that can be said about blindness. We speak to people who have lost, you know, all their vision, and they are so well adjusted because, you know, we spend our time slowly going blind, Ben, thinking we can't do this, we can't do this, we can't do this. That first step, but we can. And that's a thing that we always need to remind ourselves.
Absolutely. So speaking of taking those first steps, there's a comment that just came up in the Q&A/chat, if you want to call it. And I think it's very appropriate time that we bring this up. And this comes from another Dave out there. And he wants to put this out there and ask the group. He goes, he said that he saw Dave, as in Dave Steele, the blind poet. He saw your story on Henshaw's YouTube channel today. And he put a comment on it. And he writes, I've had a 3/4 cane for years now.
Mhm.
And he wants to know how is a good way to get over the fear of using it, as he feels vulnerable if he was to use it. And then plus he writes, plus I'm an actual support worker for people with learning disabilities. And he gets he goes, I get a little panicky the thought of using it. So I'm going to let the two of you answer that, but I'll let Dave take that away first.
Okay.
And thank you, Dave.
First of all, absolutely. Thank you for the comment, and thank you for watching the video and taking the time to come and join us tonight. You speak to anyone who uses a long cane, it is a process that we all go through at different tempos, different stages. You know, sometimes we go forward, take 2 steps back. The trick to it is, I think, remember that the cane is there to help you. Depending on how your vision is, if you still have some useful vision, I always say that sometimes, like if I can get around safely in places that I'm familiar with, but then in places I'm unfamiliar with or it's busy, I'll always use my cane. So, you know, take that pressure off yourself that you know, once you pick up a cane, it's going to be glued to your hand the entire time. It's not that way. You know, it's there for you to go through that process. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, and don't beat yourself up for taking steps backwards with it, or, you know, struggling sometimes, because we all go through it. But the one common thing that I hear from speaking to people all around the world who have gone through that process is, once they get there, they wish they had maybe picked it up or gone to that long cane sooner.
Yes, we've heard that many times.
Ben, go for it.
First of all, my man, Dave. I love everybody I know named Dave for some reason. Everybody named Dave is pretty cool. Yeah, that 3/4 cane. So yeah, putting the cane to use, there's so many things that'll change your life by that. And I think what I'm sitting here debating Dave Steele is, I think I just want to go out and say, I've asked Dave Steele to be the official, like, you know, spokesperson and official poet, of course, for almostblind.org. And obviously that's like a plug here, but there's a reason that I haven't promoted almostblind.org more than this now. And, you know, there's a story behind that. And there's, what is almost blind? What is almost blind, right? And it's so many things. And the longest story that I'll try to be a little bit brief about, but I think it's relevant. You know, my grandfather, when I was born, little did I understand what legal blindness was versus being completely black, you know, no seeing anything at all, blind. And he still drove a car, and he would stay to the right lane, and he'd only go to the pharmacy. It was 1 block down here, to the post office 1 block down that way, and his doctor's office 2 blocks down the road. And when he finally was able to admit to everybody that he was blind and give up his driver's license and everything, I still didn't understand what it meant to be almost blind. I was like, but my grandpa could still see. Before he passed away, he was fully blind. My point in telling you this, he never ever had a white cane, ever. And his last years of his life, his last probably 20 years, quite frankly, he didn't really leave his house. And I was so surprised when he had extra strength to like lift stuff and move around and do cool stuff within the house. He was always strong. I even wrote a tributary, short story called Grandpa Strong about my grandfather that would beat me at arm wrestles all the way up until I was in my teens. And slowly but surely, as I started to win, I understood a little bit about people growing old and, coming to age. And it's appropriate talking about folks like us, their eyes in a process. Love you, Grandpa Fox. Now, for me, picking up a cane, when I was in my early 30s, by the way, I ran away from eye doctors for years and I bought my contact lenses out of the country so I wouldn't lose my ability to drive because I knew I could still see, right? My man, Dave Steele, the blind poet, reads with his tunnel vision a book of poetry every single call. So my point in telling you that is like, when I finally did pick up the cane, I knew that it was going to set me free. But I spent a couple years not really living anymore, just kind of hanging out. My friends would call and I'm like, yeah, come by my house, guys. We're hanging out. Woo, what's up? Party at Ben's. So I wouldn't have to go and trip on things at other people's houses or at restaurants. So my point is, though, that picking up the white cane was a big life change for me. For sure. And I knew it was going to be, and it was. So my man, Dave, it's going to be the same thing for you. And some of it's going to be liberating and amazing. So pick up that cane. Go outside. Go live.
It's a sign of strength. It's a sign of strength. It's a sign of taking your life in your hands and not giving in.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Be proud. Be proud.
Pick up the cane, brother.
And I want to also, in that last piece that you read us, where you said we all need help. And again, all of us need help. Ooh, that looks good. Dave is drinking a glass of wine.
What?
Yes, it was a gift. It was a gift from Lou Connop, who's normally on the calls.
Nice.
I spoke for a charity the other week, so she sent me a nice box of a couple.
Oh, that Lou, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. Anyway, but we all need help, and I think that we shouldn't forget that no one's perfect. Everyone has the pros and the cons that we are given, and we all need help.
Well, I think I said it in that piece of poetry. Where is it? The blindness in our eyes can't take the vision in our minds, and with each swipe of my long cane, anxiety declines.
That is, I would say, it's probably very true. And it goes with anything. Practice makes perfect.
Absolutely.
So Trish from Dallas says hello. She loved your poem, and she says that you give such encouragement, and she really says thank you and a happy new year. Thank you, Trish.
Yeah, I've got more tonight. Let's crack on. Ben, you have a guest, don't you? And then I've got my guest.
I don't know if she's
Dr.
here.
Mel in the house?
No, I do not see her.
Oh, if she's not, we can move to my guest and bring her in. Just check.
Yeah. And then I promise, Travis, we will bring you on as the first guest. You'll be the second guest because Karen was here. But in any event, you know what I mean.
We have. So I'd like to bring on Shiraz.
Nice. Let me find her right here.
Him.
I got it. Shiraz, you're on the way over. You know what I love? We don't know who we're gonna have here tonight, and we get all these incredible people. Shiraz, how are you?
Good evening, sir, and a happy new year. If you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Hello.
We can see you.
Excellent. Well, you're doing better than me. I'm trying to focus in to find you, but I'm sure I'll catch you in some. Is that Ben here? Is it or?
Yeah. What's up?
Ben and Barry are both there.
This is
Ben and
Barry.
Barry.
Yes.
Good evening from Manchester, UK, and good afternoon in the States. And
Thank you.
A big hello to Dave, and thank you for having me.
So
It's great to have you here.
What I'd like to do is I want to kind of introduce you to the guys, as I said earlier when we were speaking today.
Please, yeah.
Can you just kind of give a little brief explanation of how we came to meet, but virtually, and then tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Not a problem, Dave, whatsoever. Well, ironically, funnily enough, we run a platform. We have Zoom calls as well, pretty much like yourselves. And during the course of the pandemic, since March last year, since it started, we got a bit creative, as we are known and recognized as a sports club, a blind sports club. Firstly, blind cricket, and we reached out to goalball, then obviously blind baseball. We do a bit of football. We've got members that play VI tennis. So it's all over the board, really, with blind sports in the UK. We're quite proactive. And obviously the pandemic made everybody start thinking more and get inventive. So obviously we couldn't play any sports. We couldn't get active. So we promoted our WhatsApp group. On our WhatsApp group, we started doing quite a few activities, exercises, charity walks, diabetes UK, etc. Quite a few events we did internally in the club and promoted people's well-being, engaging them to participate. And as they say, fit body, fit mind. So we did our utmost to engage people and try different activities. And funnily enough, we come across, I went in the social media world myself since March last year as well. I wasn't into it much, to be honest with you, before that. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and I've looked back now and I'll never regret it. I think it's the best thing I've ever done. I've come across Dave on Twitter a few times, and he really touched me with some of his poetry. As I'm sure he touches a lot of people with his words. They're very, very, very deep. And I started to follow him, hear about him, and we had some conversations about poetry in our group one day, and they all said, imagine if Dave Steele comes on to our WhatsApp forum, and he does, or if he comes on to our Zoom call, how great would that be? And funnily enough, we've got a gentleman that does a bit of podcasting and radio work, and he interviewed Dave, and I've known him quite well. He's called Abu. He's a passionate young gentleman. And
he has RP as well, doesn't he?
He has RP as well. Yeah, indeed, he has RP. And he told me about it, and I heard the recording, and straight away I thought, right, this is going to be rude if I don't contact Dave now. So I said to Abu, have you got Dave's details? I didn't let Abu know really what's going on. I wanted to surprise Abu as well. So we arranged a Christmas party, and the Christmas party entailed in having guest speakers. But guess what? Mr. Steele was there as well, and it comes to a surprise. It comes to a surprise for many. I'd say we're growing to be the biggest, largest VI blind sports club in the UK, and we've been going roughly about 10 years. So obviously, as you can imagine, at times like that, it's going to question everybody's mental health and everything as well. And activities like poetry, sports, quizzes. I think it's imperative to engage people's minds and make them interact with each other. And I think most important is networking. So hence why I networked with Dave, and Dave kindly offered his services. He said it's not a problem. He'd love to help out with the pandemic and everything as well, and come on. And after that, we've built a relationship as such. As I appreciate quite a bit of Dave's work. I really embrace it because I think he's doing some real good work around the world, around the globe, and may it continue. And from there, it's really just materialized. And a lot of people were smiling that night at the Christmas party. We had awards, we had some quizzes afterwards as well, but we had a few guest speakers on as well, and some really good guest speakers. We had the blind auditor as well, Simon Ashraf. We also had blind man turned to Iron Man, Hasib Khan. So, it was a lineup, but, obviously Dave touched a lot of people as well with his work, because he's touched people around the world as well. So it's about, I believe, it's imperative that you communicate and you embrace each other's work and network with each other. And, it's a vehicle for people to grow, really, is sharing information and relating to each other. And, whether if my background is sports, obviously, for the past 10 years, but obviously I've got RP as well, pretty much like most people in our club. Probably we've got quite a few people on this Zoom that have got RP as well. So you can relate to that. So, that's where kind of, the foundations of, where the relationship started off with Dave. And, he's kindly invited me over to come over and, do a bit of speaking today. And I'm honored to be here.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that background. Really impressive. You seem like a very well-rounded athlete.
I won't blow my own trumpet, but I do all right. To be honest with you, my journey has really, how can I say, it's not been personal to my own self, achievements. I've achieved a lot along the way, without a doubt, on the sports field. Obviously awards wise, networking, community awards, unsung heroes, and changing lives awards and things like that. But more than that, the biggest thing for me is planting that seed and actually, watching the plant as such grow, seeing some of the young members actually really excel in life and actually achieve their goals, whether they be the best athlete on the planet or they'll have a platform to actually be the best they can. And for me, that's been the most humbling for me, is, putting my head down the pillow at night and thinking, you've helped somebody and somebody's helped themselves. It comes back to that first step. And now, funnily enough, I was speaking to my friend earlier, Simon Ashraf, trying to get into exercise as well. And she's the blind auditor, and she's really good. She does guest speaking as well, pretty much like Dave does, a bit that I do as well yourselves. And she said, I need to do something. Well, you need to take the first step. And, seeing everybody take the first step internally in our club and excel in life, the vehicle of sport has made them excel, not just in the sports field or the sports world as such, but as a person, and also academically. It's been, a real pleasure being a part of that journey with them. Some of them have gone out to represent Great Britain for goalball. Some of them gone out for more recently. What we started off is blind, in the UK, blind baseball, the sport blind baseball, through the Italian founders. Some young girls, young gentlemen have gone over and really, excelled and, performed and, proved to themselves that they can participate and they make a difference. That's the most important thing in life, is if people can be the best they can and make that step. I'm putting emphasis on, because the first step, I think that's very essential to what Dave said, and you yourselves have touched on as well. Is once you make that first step yourself. For me, it was the same, because I come back pretty late into the VI sports community. When I was young, I used to play at school. Cricket was my first sport, with a background from my parents' background from Pakistan. And obviously my father was registered blind with RP. My granddad was registered blind with RP. It was passed down. And obviously I've got two siblings, brother and sister, that have got RP. My dad's two sisters had RP. One's passed away, one's still here. None of the children's got RP, but the other sister, three of her children have got it. My dad's brother, he never had it. Two of his children have got it. So, I'm quite well known.
Shiraz, that you've got the same type of RP that's in my family. It's autosomal dominant, where there's a kind of clear trace 1 in 2 every time a child is born. There seems to be a very, very strong case of RP through the family. Indeed. But just going back to what you were just saying there, and this is something that we've spoke about in previous weeks with Tea and Poetry, is having communities like this, like Tea and Poetry, like some of the online Facebook platforms that I first joined when I started to lose my sight, whether it be a sports club, having other people around you kind of pushing you on and encouraging you to grow, no matter if you're doing sports or just anything, is a real help. And especially in times like these as well, when we are reliant on reaching out to people through social media and things like that. We're so lucky that we've got these platforms in this past year, and it's great to see them being used in such a positive way, because I could not imagine the isolation and dealing with a kind of lockdown situation without having these platforms and abilities to reach out in the way we're doing right now.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree with you. For us, this was what the challenge was, Dave. There was some of our members that wasn't even used to actually even being on WhatsApp forums, and for them to upskill them to get used to WhatsApp forums, to get used to sending messages, videos, sharing what they've been doing, taking pictures of what they've cooked and what somebody else is doing today, and obviously just sharing information and just having that platform and utilizing it in the sense of, you're communicating. And a lot of people, I think you've touched on a very important point there, Dave, is having the past 10, 11 months, these platforms, somebody else in life might have lost. I've met a couple of people on this journey, believe it or not, in the past 10, 11 months that have recently lost their sight past couple of years, and they've really took to the VI community, the VI world. And, I've met people in the past that would be isolated and, wouldn't want to, socialize or communicate with somebody because they think, oh, it's a disability. I'm blind now. What am I going to do? It's all doom and gloom. But that's not what it's about. People have got an opportunity. And I think a lot of people, like you just said, it's about making your negative into a positive. And I've always believed in that. I'm a strong believer in, my motto is transforming disability into ability. And everybody's good at something. I'm a strong believer in that.
And it's true. Everyone's got talent. Sometimes those talents are hidden.
Indeed. And you've got to go deep and kind of find them. And, during this lockdown, obviously, we've been very busy. It was paramount, the well-being of our members. It was absolutely imperative, to make sure their mental well-being and, they were looked after and catered for. They got everything they need. But at the same time, it was time for me to reflect as a person on myself. So I dig deep within myself as well, which, usually I'm just busy helping people doing things, and which that's never going to stop. And I've never ever intended for it to stop. That's just my personality of what I've been doing through my journey, helping people in different ways through, sports or whatever I can help them with. But finding myself, I found myself more as well. I mean, I would have never give my phone any time, believe it or not, to even know what's actually in that phone, what kind of services, what can I use, how can I utilize it. That's given me that kind of time to do that, and it's given me time to find other initiatives in life. And I've launched a couple of more ideas, obviously international projects that I've started doing. I've basically laid the foundations for with the pandemic. It's given me time to reflect and think, and it's about making your negatives into a positive, and groups like yourselves, organizations like this, bringing people together, sharing this information, it's surely got to help people. It's got to do them good, obviously.
Absolutely. Listen, I want to say we kind of have to kind of cut it there because we need to try and fit a few more people on. I want to say a massive thank you to you because I know you've invited a few people, and I know you're going to be back and continuing to kind of bring more people to Tea and Poetry, and I'll be working with you on some future projects here in the UK as well, and do some speaking for you. I do like to do a thing with any kind of new person that comes on where I'll read you a piece of poetry. So I want to do that for you now because this kind of touches on what we were just kind of talking about. And I wrote this the other day. Often I write a piece of poetry and a line will come into my head or a feeling that I really want to get across. And this is kind of a strong message through everything. So Ben, B, I want you to, Barry, I want you to really kind of listen to this as well. But this really says a lot of the stuff that we were just talking about and he was saying. So here we go. If I can take these feelings of slowly going blind and use them to inspire someone else's anxious mind, then every time those bad days make me lose my way, I'll find the strength inside of me, send hope into your day. I'll take my greatest challenges and use them to succeed. Through poet's verse with you converse, onto this page I bleed. My heart's an open book and I am not afraid to say I've struggled with depression, pushed the ones I love away. But nothing lasts forever. Those dark days will come and go. We'll learn to love this blind life because love is blind,
Oh.
Well, I do know, Dave. I do know.
So one thing's for certain, nothing lasts forever except for Tea and Poetry.
And
And
thanks again, Shiraz.
Not a problem.
And I look forward to coming over to the UK one day and playing some football, some European football with our feet.
Absolutely.
And kicking a ball around with you guys. That would be nice.
Not a problem. We might be able to convert you into a bit of cricket, a bit of baseball, your own sport.
I've never played cricket, but I know it's pretty close to baseball, right?
Yeah. Obviously, there's goalball that we do as well. So there's quite a few sports. Obviously, the Lancashire Lions host quite a few and got sports and got a few offers on and sports-wise. So, yeah, great. Am I right in saying, Dave, I'm okay to stay over to listen to the rest of the show?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Of course.
absolutely.
Absolutely. We'd love to
We'll
have
send
you.
back,
Absolutely.
to listen in, and please come back every week and see us and bring more people.
Absolutely. And I see you brought some guests.
Most
Absolutely.
definitely. We'll definitely hopefully see how many people we can bring down. And thank you for
Absolutely.
having us. And I'll let you guys
Shabazz,
run the rest of the show.
to see you in person eventually when we come out of lockdown as well. So
Most definitely, it'll be a real honor, Dave, to catch up and have a collaborative approach on something in the UK.
Yeah.
In terms of the VI community. It'll be an honor.
100%. Thank you, Shabazz.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Shiraz. Pleasure to
Anytime.
meet you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
I
very
look
much.
forward to meet you in person one day.
Indeed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
want to just while we have the group here right now, and a lot of new faces on tonight. If you don't mind, Dave, I want to put out a quick poll, and I know I didn't discuss this with you, but I can discuss. We'll discuss it afterwards. I want to launch. I'm going to send a quick poll out there, and I want to make sure that we are doing our best to make sure that we are bringing our weekly TM Poetry at the most optimum time for our audience, whether it's the day of the week and actually the time during that day. So if
it's
I'm
a difficult one, isn't it? Really, because
it is.
Any late in the UK, it's too late, and any earlier in America, any late, it's difficult.
Yeah, so I'm going to put a poll out there. Again, I just want to get the group's thoughts on this. It's just 2 questions, and again, keep in mind. Obviously, question one is, do you have a preferred day of the week for TM Poetry? Obviously, Wednesday is our day, but if there's a preferred day, let us know what your preferred day is. And 2, if you have a preferred time, if we weren't doing it at 4 p.m., what would that time be? And if 4 p.m. is the better time, put that in there. And keep in mind that all times are Eastern Standard Time. So if you are in the K, and if you choose 1 p.m., that would be 5 p.m. and so on and so forth. So we have a 5-hour time difference. All times are in Eastern. I'm going to put that out there and would like to get everyone's thoughts on that. Thank you. And Dave, you will not vote on that.
No, I'm not going to vote. I want to take that off.
So that we'll keep the polling out there, and
while they're squeezing in, I want to read another piece of poetry, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
This one actually, this is a very rare piece of poetry. This for me, because it pretty much doesn't mention sight loss, but there's common themes that we can all talk about. Now, this one here, I've touched on my kind of past on previous calls and some of the things that I've been through that's kind of shaped me into the person I am now. And I often I've spoke about this, and it's been really on my mind recently, talking about how me and Ben spoke about this before the call tonight, how I'm a great believer in everything that we go through in our past, all the good and bad, dark times, struggles, challenges, kind of give us the ability and tools to face the things going forward. And I would, looking back on my life, I would relive all of those dark days to get to where I am today. Because if I didn't, I'd maybe be in a different direction, and I wouldn't change it. And I wrote this one. This one took me literally about 3 minutes to write, but it's got a really nice kind of message in it. And it's entitled Me. And it goes like this. In years gone by, there were times when I felt lost out there. The world was full of strangers and no one who really cared. I walked the streets with all I owned in search of comfy bed, but all I found was breakdowns and at time a razor's edge. But something deep inside of me to life kept holding on. I prayed someone out there would come and really be the one. Yet every time I hit the bottom with no way out to see, the person that I needed turned out to be just me. It was me who picked up the pieces and wiped away the blood. It was me who took the darkest clouds and used them to do good. It was me who spoke to me when no one else was there for me. And all those times have led me to be the me I'm meant to be.
That is an incredible piece, Dave. I want to, there's so much in there, but I want to say what really, calls to me is that every person out there has that ability to create the person who they want to be.
Yeah, we often look for comfort in other people, and that's okay to do that, but we need to find it in ourselves first. And when you eventually do, and we all do at different times in our lives, some earlier, some later, some maybe never, but most people, eventually kind of click at some point and go, actually, I need to be happy with me in my own company. I need to love me first. And I've been there for me when no one else has been. And I think we can all kind of say that.
Absolutely. It is really a very strong piece. I really liked it a lot. I'm going to bring Travis on because he's been waiting so patient to join us. Travis, I'm bringing you on right now. And I just want to thank everyone also who has completed that poll. Again, it's just a hypothetical, but I want to make sure that we are optimizing. And of course, while the tea and poetries are available offline, for your viewing, I want to make sure that we are doing our best to accommodate everyone. And if there's better times, we're going to try and make it happen. So, all right, Travis, coming right up. Travis.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How about you? Just to let you know, so I did complete the poll, as you probably know.
Oh, actually, I don't know that. I do want to say the poll is anonymous, so can't tell if you complete it. So no one has to be afraid.
Sorry.
Yeah, no. I'm actually happy you said that, because if someone was nervous that we're gonna scrutinize and analyze, why did you
say that time?
Yeah, exactly. No one can see. The poll is anonymous, so if you haven't voted yet, go for it. So I'm happy you said that, Travis. Thank you. And you don't have to share with us what you submitted.
Nope, that's all right. But anyway, firsthand, it's so good to see you all. First of all, I just got to say this, David Steele, I'm really sorry to hear what's going on with Amy with her back.
Thank you, Tia. Yeah, thank you for that. It's I think we all know, like, toothache and backache are just the worst, aren't they? So it's been like, she's been a real, she continues to be a real trooper with it. She's, but the fact that she's been in that much pain that, the brain is kind of blocking the signal to move in the right side, just shows you how painful it actually is. So it's funny, actually, when she was in hospital the first time, just over a week ago, she was in for like a couple of nights. And she went to kind of A&E, and then they kind of said, right, okay, we're going to keep you in. It turned out that the lady in the bed next to her is someone that we know.
No.
Yeah, and she had the same issue as Amy.
No.
I was lucky enough to win an award here in the UK called the Pride of Bury Award, which is a local area to me, a couple of years ago. There's a lot of people here that voted for me, and one of the organisers of the charity, a charity by the name of Super Josh, the lady that was in hospital with Amy was actually looking after me at our table, and she was the one that brought me up to the stage when I got the award, and she was in there with the same back issue. They actually operated on her, and the two of them were messaging me, at silly o'clock in the morning, and looking after each other, which was really great to see.
Holy cow, that is so awesome. I love it. Wow.
Small world at times. It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing how things work out like that sometimes.
Oh, I know. Well, like I said, though, I just wish her the best.
Thank you.
You guys are in my thoughts and everything. And I know it really doesn't help with pain, because I know it's cold where you are, David Steele. I know cold weather is not good with pain.
No. -6 the other night.
Ooh,
wow.
Man, that's like a freezer.
Yeah.
You know what? Just freeze some ice cream out there as a natural freezer or something.
We're due snow tomorrow, apparently, so we might have a little bit of snow.
Interesting.
Are you going to get snow tomorrow?
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah, which would be
Ooh.
great actually, because if we need to go to the shops or anything, we can just put Amy on a sledge and just pull her.
Oh,
Oh.
man.
Joking. We won't do that.
There's a person who's not on here tonight, and I found out that this person has access to snowmobiles.
Oh wow!
Oh my!
And I was thinking, is like, how cool would it be if we did something with snowmobiles in the sight loss community?
That would be awesome.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'd love to get on the snowmobile and
That
ride
would be fun.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Holy cow.
stay tuned.
We said we were going to go and do the skiing thing at some point.
That's
didn't we?
correct. That is correct.
I can't remember where that was now. Who was on? Who
Yeah,
with
we
some-
had. Yes, that was actually. Yes.
There was someone on. They might be on the call now. If they are, let us know. But there was someone on the call last year who lived somewhere where the skiing was really good and said we could come out. I can't remember where it was.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you're talking about, Dave. Yeah, absolutely. So I just
Yeah.
want to see one thing here. So when you say, by the way, Dave, when you say -6, you're talking about Celsius, correct?
I am. Yes.
Yeah, so that would be about 21.2 degrees here in Fahrenheit. So that is below freezing.
Mhm. Yep.
Not like the -6 in like, or the -10 that you have maybe people in Minneapolis where negative, something -10 Fahrenheit. So, yeah.
What would that be in Celsius?
Oh, sorry. Hold on one second. I'll convert that back over for you. Convert.
We're getting
-10.
educational on team poetry. I like this.
Yeah.
Hey, so Barry, I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you something.
Yeah, sure.
So, I understand last week we were talking about vaccines last week. How are your colleagues doing with the first dose of the vaccine?
Great question.
Good
Great question.
Absolutely.
They are, thank God, they are doing well. No
Okay,
complaints.
good.
Yeah.
Good. 'Cause I know certain people might have reactions to the vaccines, especially if you might have allergies to certain stuff, or like if you might have had mono or something.
Interesting about the mono. I haven't heard that mono. It's actually something very interesting.
I-
So far so good. 3 of our doctors here have received it, and a lot of my colleagues have also received that jab, and so far so good. So
Good. And let's just pray that second dose goes well, phase
Yes.
2 and everything.
yes. So to answer Dave's question, -10 Fahrenheit is -23 Celsius.
Wow. Okay.
Ooh, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's danger to life kind of weather, that isn't it?
Yeah. So we know people in Minneapolis that go through that. So
Holy cow.
yeah.
I
So
have to wonder why.
yeah.
Ooh.
Why somebody'd stay in that cold winter.
Ooh, so anyway, Travis, we have a bunch of other hands up. I know you are always the first, and we appreciate that, but I do want to try to get to some of the others here before we get to closing time. So thank you very much as always for your participation.
No
and
doubt
your
we'll see you next week.
enthusiasm. We love having you here, and of course, wish you a wonderful week.
That sounds great, and a wonderful week too. And next week, for those who are not aware, the inauguration is a week from today in our next meeting.
Thank you for pointing that
So
out.
it is. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Very good.
See you next week.
Next week it is. All right. Thank you, Travis.
You're welcome.
We'll see you later.
You bet.
Thank you.
Bye, Travis.
So, by the way, I'm gonna bring on Philip, who's been patiently waiting as well, and Allison just sent us a message as well, and I'm gonna let Philip further discuss.
Hello.
How are you, Philip?
I am grateful. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Philip.
Happy New Year to you.
How are you all?
We are doing
Very
great.
good. Better
Why
for hearing
don't you
your voice.
bring- Is Allison out there? We have to talk together. Guess what's
Yeah,
You know what? I'm
bring
gonna
her
bring
on.
Allison.
Awesome.
I'm gonna bring you on. So
Absolutely.
if there's
guess
a
what's
problem,
happened this week?
All
Take
right.
a guess, guys.
I heard. Hold on one second. Okay, Allison is coming right up. Allison, you there?
I am.
How are? I
Hey,
hope you don't mind. I
Allison.
brought you in there without your hand up.
That's okay.
Go for it, guys. You share it.
You go,
Ladies
Philip.
first. Ladies first.
No, you start.
All right. I get the pleasure to meet Allison in person
Oh,
Wow.
on Monday. We 1.5 hour went to like 1.5 minutes. This
Wow.
lady is wonderful. And
do you know? Listen, I just want to say, you know, from as long as I've been doing this, and I'm not just talking about tea and poetry, but kind of, you know, being prominent on social media with the whole blind poet stuff. One of the things that I really kind of love is seeing people who have kind of met through these kind of online platforms connecting through me. It's just it's such a great thing to see you guys, and I can't wait to you know, to get to the point where we're all going to be in the same room together, because I'm sure, I've got faith that is going to come in the future. But yeah, that's really put a smile on my face. So
It
thank
put
you
a smile on my face also
Yeah.
to know that through our efforts here, we've cultivated these relationships. They're now getting to, you know, face to face, which is incredible. And where was the meetup?
go ahead, my new
Where
friend.
is the meet? I should say. Wait,
Well, we met at the Stanford Mall outside at what was it?
Lingerie, coffee
Yes.
shop.
So physical distancing, social distancing, had coffee and just had a great conversation. I was up there for a doctor's appointment that was yesterday and reached
How'd it
out
go?
to Philip. Huh?
All good with the doctor's appointment, yeah.
Actually, no.
Oh no.
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer.
Oh, yeah, you don't need to be a Debbie Downer. We you know, this is just a group for kind of,
Yeah.
you know, to offer love and support and stuff like that. So, you know, we hope you're okay. And if there's anything you want to talk about anytime, we're here, whether that be
Yeah.
on here or a message. So, you know.
No, this is just actually a perfect conversation just today. You know, it's always everything happens for a reason, right? But
Absolutely. Yeah, we spoke about that.
so just found out that they've exhausted all options. And so there's nothing that can be done. The surgery I had 3 months ago yesterday. The cornea transplant was great. And my retina looks great, but there's scar tissue. And now my optic nerve is just
okay.
it's compromised. And there's
Yeah.
nothing, nothing
So-
that can be done.
So with regards to that, then, what's the you know, what's the kind of prognosis? I mean, you know, is it going to dramatically get worse?
Yes.
In one eye, is that correct?
Yeah, I only have one. I have a prosthetic eye in my right eye.
Okay.
So, yeah, so you know, it's I'm still processing that
More. Uh-huh.
and just
How when was this you got the news?
yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Yesterday. So yeah. So really kind of early times with it.
Yeah.
Back and forth. I take it. You know, emotion wise and tossing and turning with it. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, I thank God for my foundation and this group and knowing that, you know, I've been doing this a long time.
I know.
50 plus years, right?
Yeah.
And just, you know, just continue reaching out and connecting. And I know it's important to do that. And
I think going back to a lot of the conversations we have, and you know, I thank you for, you know, for sharing that with us, because I know how difficult it is. We've spoke about these things before, and I really want to get kind of real now. Is, you know, we talk about, we spoke about at the beginning of this call about how we don't know what we're capable of sometimes, or what we're capable of dealing with, and how we adjust, and how that first step of, you know, thinking that the next step is going to be the hardest one, but we actually get past that, and, you know, it's not as scary as it first seems. And I think in all these kind of situations and circumstances, we've got to kind of remind ourselves of what we've already adjusted to.
yeah,
Because, you know, what we've already adjusted to, if you say to someone who, you know, has no experience of that, they go, man, you know, how do you do it? And then we say to someone who's got no, you know, no light perception, how do you do it? And they go, well, you adjust, you do it. It just, you don't know what you're capable of until you're faced with it. And
Right.
you will naturally have these days of, like you've had the last day, of, having moments of despair and panic and, anxiety, depression, whatever you want to kind of, say, or, what you're going through. And you just got to kind of remember that, don't beat yourself up about it. These things are perfectly natural to feel that. Allow yourself that time to grieve. Know that you can reach out to me and countless others, and talk anytime off here, always, never a bother. And just remind yourself that you are stronger than anything that can come your way.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And it's taking that first step and just reaching out. And, I've been going through this for a very long time, and it's just, you bob and weave, you go through your good times, your bad, and you just have to deal with it. And I do know that it doesn't last forever. And this is just a process in the next step. And you just,
I want to say this to you now, Alison. This is really, really important. I want you to listen to me. Okay. You've been on this call for some time now, and you've spoken to me and to others about how you've been helped by this group and how you're helped by the poetry and everything else. And I really want to make this very, very clear to you. I always say to people that I don't just write the words, I mean them. Okay. I mean every single one of them. And when I say that anytime you need to reach out in a message or a call or anything, it's never a burden. And there's people on this call and people like Ben who can testify to that I mean that. So if I can, personally do anything to kind of, be a friend or, someone to vent to at any time when you're, having a natural struggle day, then I'm here.
thank you. I really appreciate that.
And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I totally mean
I
that.
know.
It's not just a thing to say, that's.
Oh, I know that you mean it and you're genuine. And that's why it's so touching. And your poetry for everybody is so touching, because that is the man you are. And you're going to make me cry.
Sorry. It's just,
No,
I do. I honestly mean the words that I write. I don't, it's not the poetry I've spoke about before. It's a means to an end. I'm not a poet. I'm using poetry as a way to kind of help people like I want to be helped myself.
Yeah, no, I know. And back to Philip and I, when we were talking, and by helping others, I told him I truly am helping myself, right?
Absolutely.
When you connect somebody or you meet somebody and somebody will say, oh, how do you do it? Or whatever. It's never
do
about
it more. Do it more. Do it more.
It fills my heart up if I can connect with somebody and share something, or, it truly just makes me feel better. So.
Do you remember me saying? I think I might have said it on last week's call. I've said it over on the last couple of calls, talking about when I've been struggling at the moment. I've been struggling with anxiety not through my loss of vision, but through my feeling of isolation through the pandemic and lockdowns. Really, really struggling with it. And I often say that I'm at the stage where, when I'm having a really, really tough time, my first thought now is not about woe is me. It's about, okay, how can I use the rawness of what I'm going through to connect with somebody and help them? So do that.
I've done it. I have a meeting with Kristen Smedley tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Hey!
Nice.
I mean, I've set that up before I left for San Francisco, but I mean, and I get that. And I know that it's doing stuff, it's constantly engaging with other people and not having, and I've been there. I mean, I've had my pity parties and,
which is perfectly acceptable to do.
Oh,
don't
absolutely.
ever let anyone tell you that that's a wrong thing to do.
Oh, no one would tell me that.
I
just have to allow myself the patience and be gentle with myself, right?
Yes.
With Alison, I was very impressed how real she is, and she She did not complain even about one thing, but she deal with every issue, and she accepts what she's going through, and she deal with it. And beside that, she was the most encouraging, inspiring person. And honestly, 1.5 hours went to like 1.5 minutes. It's like, what? We have to go.
Yeah.
I am so glad that you guys were able to, physically meet up. It's great. And
Barry, sorry.
yes.
Ben sat there. I know I'm looking at Ben and I see his mind ticking away, and I know that he's got something to say here. So, Ben?
Oh, yeah. I just want to say that I think it's very cool that we have a group of people that we actually wonder how people are doing between the weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty cool organization, like of just poetry fans. And so
no, I wouldn't
it's
even say
interesting.
that.
No,
I wouldn't even say that.
I'm just kind of being facetious by saying poetry fans. It's like we're coming together.
Yeah,
We're enjoying this
look at
camaraderie.
Doreen's told that story many a time where when we first met, when she came to the Rhode Island, how she hated poetry.
That was why I was being facetious. I'm joking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's just like wait. You're going to tea and poetry again? Like,
well,
yes.
Louise Connop said it the other week, didn't she? When I spoke at her event.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
that's cool.
She did.
It's not that.
So,
Exactly.
no, absolutely. Dave, you want to close things out with some poetry?
Always.
That thing that you do so eloquently and incredibly.
Yeah, I've got a piece of poetry to finish off. Oh, wow. These things kind of come. I wrote this today. And it's even more prominent with what we've just spoken about. And I read this to Ben earlier. I've entitled it Listen. It literally took me about 5 minutes to write. I wanted to kind of explain how I was feeling. And yeah, this kind of does it. So I want to leave you with this. Massive thank you to everyone once again on the call. And another amazing night. We started off with Karen Baker saying about Sam. Amazing. And the quality of people on the call tonight. Absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking forward to next week already. Can't come soon enough.
I can't wait. Also, before you read and we say goodbye for today, I just want to share with everyone out there the stats on the poll. 77% of you said Wednesday is the preferred, which is good. And 69% of you out there said 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. So I think we're doing the right thing.
Okay, that's good. It's good to know.
So we're not going to change anything.
Okay, so this is called Listen. Can I rely on you to try and listen to me now? As I confess what's got me stressed whilst vision takes its bow. It's not about how people doubt the way I don't look blind, or how my family's fading faces replaces clarity in my mind. I've dealt with isolation, won my independence back. I've lost myself to blindness cost, yet got myself on track. But 2020's impact has left a scar upon my soul. It made me feel like I can't breathe, and still it takes its toll. We lost what we took for granted. Our simple freedoms paused, felt anxious in a crowded place and isolated when indoors. But I know from my battles past, we'll see the last of COVID's grip. We'll see the friends that we have missed and take that cancelled trip. We'll heal the feel of worry that it's just not safe out there and chase the dreams it seems too long that we have dreamed to dare.
Can you see that? It says canceled trip. Oh, I can't wait to take those canceled trips.
Exactly. Yeah.
And see some of you who are out there tonight on this call. So
yeah, I needed to get that in. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, sending a virtual hug to everyone out there. Great to see
this
everyone.
Time last year, we would have been, I want to say, you ready for this? This time last year, a year ago today, we would have been in AFB's old headquarters with the guys from Wereworks.
Hold on. Before we go, I have to share a picture from that because we actually, you know what? I don't know if I can. Let me see if I have to share because that was fun. It's so right. So we were at AFB, their former headquarters in 2 Penn Plaza. Let me hear you say it.
2 Penn Plaza.
If people are not familiar with that, 2 Penn Plaza is right above Madison Square Garden in New York City. And we were there, and it was a massive, massive office space. And the place was completely empty. And we decided to film a video inside Kirk Adams. Again, if you don't know who Kirk Adams is the president and CEO of the AFB. We decided to film a video shoot or do a video shoot inside Kirk's former office. And we had a lot of fun doing that. It was a lot of fun. And we got to, we were climbing in the window cubicles, I guess is like where the way the HVAC was set up, we were able to sort of like climb up. And I'm gonna have to share with everyone next week because the photos are on my phone and they're not here on the computer.
Incredible pictures. And, that was the day that got me introduced to Adriana from AFB, which led to me being asked to be the host for the 2020 Helen Keller Awards.
Yep.
Which was the cancelled trip that I just spoke about in that piece of poetry.
Yep. So anyway, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Great to see everyone and hear from everyone. Look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. And wish everyone good health. And we will see you next week. Take care. Take care. I am so happy you guys got together. Made my day.
I'm so happy. Awesome. And by the way, Stanford Shopping Center is big enough for more of you guys.
Okay.
We'll be there.
With social distancing.
Yes.
Waiting for you. I'm waiting for you back, Allison.
Okay.
Awesome.
Take care,
we'll see you guys. Take
Speak
care, everyone. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.